The last thing you want to hear when you need your auto insurance most is a robot with countless irrelevant menu options. Which is why with USAA Auto Insurance, you'll get great service that is easy and reliable, all at the touch of a button. Get a quote today. Restrictions apply. USAA.
Hilton brings you new ways to stay, with experiences that let you capture the glory days. Introducing the Graduate Hotels. Each inspired by local college towns, these stays are always original and never boring. Get in touch with traditions all across the country and enjoy a stay that's a class above the rest. Book at Graduate Hotels with Hilton Honors Points at Hilton.com. It's a win-win. Hilton, for the stay.
Halliday presents, in the red corner, the undisputed, undefeated Weed Whacker Guy. Champion of hurling grass and pollen everywhere. And in the blue corner, the challenger, extra strength Halliday. Eye drops that work all day to prevent the release of histamines that cause itchy allergy eyes. And the winner by knockout is Halliday. Halliday, bring it on.
From the Fifth Quarter Studio in Madison, Wisconsin, you're listening to the Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast.
They're playing basketball.
Here's our hosts, Steve Collins, and Bill Flitter.
Hello, coaches. Welcome to another episode of Coaching Youth Hoops Podcast. Today, we have a special guest with us, Rick Torbett from Better Basketball. Welcome, Rick. Thank you for stopping by today, and we appreciate any time that you can take. And I kind of look at you as basically the grandfather of all of this stuff, not just coaching, but man, all the stuff online and the videos and the training. You've been doing that for over 20 years. So yeah. A long time. That was back when it was hard. When you had that was hard getting a video and everything up online and doing that whole thing. Now we just pull out our phones and 10 seconds later, we're going to have a video up online. So
unreal. Yeah. I watched it go from, its infancy and from VHS.
Yep.
VHS, we used to do that. VHS to DVDs to online and to what we have going on now that's going so fast and changing so quickly.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep up with.
It really is. And we got to be on all of those if we're going to try to be successful. Or a lot of them.
Yeah.
But a little bit about your background. So you're the creator of the Read and React offense, coached for a long time. Now, did you coach your girls? You have two girls. Did they play? Did you coach them?
No. I coached boys for 20 years. Yeah.
Were they players?
I'm sorry?
Were your girls players? Did they play?
In the young leagues.
Yeah.
But by the time they got to high school, they got some other interests,
sure.
Things, and I guess I didn't infect them the way I got infected.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? I was thinking about that today. I've been coaching now for about 12 years, and I started in the youth league too, coaching my son, and and ever since then, I haven't stopped. Right, so he's a sophomore in college right now, and I just been, all in from, grade school. I coach both my kids. I actually still coaching my daughter. She's a sophomore in high school now. So that's fun. As I always say, though, I don't coach her. My assistant coach coaches her. She'll listen a little bit better to him than she does me.
But, a lot of people are scared to do that. But I just think it's a really good exercise for you to go through in terms of, I'm your father, but I'm your coach. And we got to work this out between us. And how are we going to relate to the rest of the team, and how are we going to handle this? Yeah, there's potholes and bumps there, but man, that's good.
It's fun. I'm blessed to be able to do that and see her through high school. And especially what's also fun is, I wouldn't get that inside view of her and her friend dynamics and all her girlfriends, and seeing from that side. So that's really fun. And even her girlfriends now, I'll be in the weight room with my team, they'll stop in and say hi. And to me, that just warms my heart. That's just such a special thing, right? And it's only going to be there for 3 more years, so I enjoy it.
That was the hardest thing, and leaving coaching was the relationships.
Yeah.
Because you've always got this family,
Yeah, absolutely. I say my worst part of my job is the day the seniors graduate, or the last practice, or the banquet, or whatever it is, that last day you spend with them, because it's hard. You spend so much time with these kids, and you see them grow up. And like I said, I coach girls, so seeing the young ladies grow up, it's amazing.
It's awesome.
Amazing experience. But anyway, let's dig into basketball a little bit here. One of the questions that I was, you have years of experience. You've seen, you coaching youth to high school, and you've seen college, and you're touring all over with sharing your read and react offense, and that's what we're running, by the way, with our high school team. So we actually for a lot of the freshmen ran it for the first time on Saturday. I was blown away how well easy it was for them to learn. A couple layers were in, and they just got it. They scored. They kept their spacing. They read the read line, and I'm like, why didn't I do this? We did a little bit of it last year, but I'm just going all in on it, because anyway, we'll go into that a little bit later, but we could have a whole podcast.
I love hearing the story behind it. I love hearing it.
But I would, one thing I would like to know, and I just had at my coach's clinic, as I was talking about off air, and one of the things that came up was the stress point that youth coaches are under, which is trying to get everything in a short period of time. Most have one practice, 1 day a week. That's 60 minutes. A couple have 2. So I'm just kind of wanted to get your thoughts on what is, and you can break this up into groups or however you want, because, a 3rd grader is different than an 8th grader. But given that, what should coaches focus on when they have that one practice a week? And not 2. So, but it's, either 60 minutes or 120 minutes, right? A week.
Right. Well, I think you have to sit down with paper and pencil, and I think you've got to figure out what you're willing to live without, because you cannot put everything that in there, or even everything that you want them to know, or maybe even need to know. I think that's when when you can narrow it down to what they need to know. The absolute. Well, let's talk about that a second. I think, confidence versus anxiety, right? For players, it's the difference between fun and work, between winning and losing. And so what creates anxiety in players? Not knowing what to do, where to go. Am I screwing up? Am I doing what coach wants to do? Are my teammates looking at me like I'm a doofus, or what? If we can eliminate that anxiety, it will increase their confidence. And if it gives you as a coach a chance to praise them and stroke them at every turn, because if you wait for something like scoring or a bunch of rebounds or a bunch of steals before you stroke a player and encourage them and give them words of affirmation, they can go a whole practice without getting a positive stroke from you. So with that in mind, and the read and react, right?
Right. Yep.
There's no need, of course, to put the whole thing in. You can't. You don't have time. But also at youth level, you've got to sort of think backwards here, reverse engineer it. what can I expect from the defense? Now, if we were talking about college, you can expect in the first game that there's going to be help side defense and if they switch, they know how to rotate and blah, 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 and how many different ways they're going to guard a ball screen. And are they playing in the gap or they not? Right?
Right.
We got to take all that in consideration. That's why there's 10 layers in the Ready React. Okay. All right. But with youth, you got to think, all right, what can I expect from the defense?
And thinking that they only have an hour and a half or an hour, right? So they're not going to be able to get everything in either. So.
That's exactly right. So what do you think? I mean, what would give I'll tell you what I would do if I had a youth team.
Yeah.
Defensively, I would say, this is how you pressure the ball without fouling. Why? Because ball pressure is going to give you lots of stuff. Because youth have trouble dribbling and they have trouble passing and catching, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you got to be able to do all those before you can shoot the ball. Well, everyone wants to talk about shooting. Well, you got to do those first. So defensively, if I could give you a little trouble dribbling, handling the ball, passing and catching, I put the odds into my favor. Okay, now if that's the case, and I know that that's what coaches of youth coaches are planning on, because when you watch games, what do? They full court press.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Things like that, right? Okay. So offensively, I think you're crazy to try to put in set plays.
I agree.
Because once pressure makes players revert to their most closely held habits. Okay.
Yep.
And if they don't have any good habits, they're going to freeze up. And whatever they're trying to remember is going to be gone. Okay. So how can you eliminate their anxiety? How can you reduce the chances of pressure? And what can you do in such a short period of time to give those players a first reaction habit to pressure, right? Well, and in the Read and React, we put down spots just like you saw at the clinic,
Right.
We put down actual physical spots on the floor. And I'll tell you, when I finally did that, I just went to a manufacturer and said, look, make these spots for me. Okay. I'm tired of putting down tape and taking it up. And just give me some big old, 18-inch diameter spots. I'll stick them on the bottom and so they won't slide. Immediately, the ability to teach the Read and React, it just collapsed time frames. And here's why, Bill. Because players want to know where to go, what to do.
Right.
Oh, that's the spot. Oh, if I get on this spot, I'm good. Okay.
Yep.
And coach says, if I pass, I've got to cut to that spot under the basket. And then I've got to fill out to an empty spot and I'm good. Now they may not, but in their minds, that's what they're doing. Like, I did it, and it is a chance to really stroke a player, that, they come out of the game and you can say, you fill those empty spots perfectly. You were excellent, your reaction, all that kind of stuff. It's a chance to put a little star on their helmet,
That's right.
And the spots, of course, give us spacing.
Mm-hmm.
And the better the spacing, the less chance of double teams, the more space there is to dribble, to handle the ball. And I know a lot of folks want to move the spots in closer to the goal, but I don't, because youth, they need a bigger window of recognition than a higher level player who can see an opening developing and already be in the act of passing. Whereas youth, they got to see that player open and then have time to go, and then cock it and throw it. And receive.
They're always late, right?
Oh yeah. So the more space, the better. So I'll kind of turn it back over to you with this. My language with youth becomes more about how to relieve pressure, how to get out of this. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, look, if you're under pressure, you can always pass to the right or pass to the left, But coach, they're not open. Someone's over the read line. Well, we all know they're supposed to cut, but coach, they're not cutting. Well, you can dribble at them and it'll force them to cut, Well, what if I'm being pressure dribbled? Then turn your back and let me show you a power dribble and you can hand it off to someone, There's also, with them being on spots, there's space to drive. And they don't have, as you know, Bill, they don't have to make it to the rim. They don't have to pass. They don't have to score. They just got to drive. That'll push circle movement, and then they can bounce off to an open spot. And that relieves pressure. I just don't want to see the player like this. Right. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
We're panicked. We know we're in trouble.
Well, the thing that came out, the one takeaway many takeaways from the clinic the other day too, but the one that really stuck with me was the ball's a decoy, right? And if the ball is a decoy, that means everybody's looking at the ball. And if you change the let me finish this thought though. If you change the mentality of your players that I have the ball, it's a decoy. My number one job isn't necessarily to score. It's to relieve some pressure potentially to give it away for somebody else to score. So if the ball is a decoy, that's going to leave somebody else open because somebody's going to be turning their head looking at the ball, right? And you're going to have some additional cuts. So if you kind of change that idea of every time I get the ball, I have to score. If not, I'm a less qualified basketball player, if you will, right? Or I didn't do my job. I have the ball in my hand and I got to score, right? No, that's not what your job is, right?
That's well put. That's excellent. I'm going to use that in the Chicago clinic this weekend. Okay, and I'll credit you 3 times, Bill. Okay, then after that, it's mine. Okay.
Yeah.
Isn't that the coaching rule?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm sure. Well, actually, this weekend I was teaching the this was 3rd through 8th graders. And I said, I'm going to teach the read and react. There's 10 layers of the read and react, but I'm going to show you how to do it in an hour. Because that's all you have, right? And I broke your read and react down to 3 spots. I call them the ABCs, the rules of the ABCs. And always be cutting and screening, always be cutting and sharing, always be cutting and what was the third one I had? Cutting and screening, sharing, and I can't remember off the top of my head now anyway. But I broke it down into very simple terms so a 4th grade coach could relay that acronym to their players and still achieve. And it's something that they can remember. The players can remember to do. Oh yeah, after I pass, I cut. Oh, that's what it was. After I pass, I got to cut. Right. Remember your ABCs. Right. So it just kind of goes through anyway. So yes, borrowing from your offense, and I just layered it to like, okay, how can I teach this in a clinic? But then, I only had an hour in this one segment, but then how can I help coaches teach it in less than an hour? So,
right. Yeah. Sticky language. That was very good.
Yeah.
Create sticky language, kids can remember. And the less, the better. I was answering an email today, and it was a similar situation. And the coach was saying, how would you construct your practice plans with this? It's a young team and all that. And I said, I have a tendency to just cram, pass and cut, feed someone in the post and cut, and dribble at together. Now I'm not talking about teaching all 24 scoring tactics that comes with all those. I'm just talking about, can we put those 3 together and just kind of create your own possession? Because if someone is cutting and you throw them the ball and they catch it and kind of stumble in the lane, well, they've picked up the ball or something, or they've driven in the lane and picked up the ball. See, that's why I wanted layer 2 in there. Oh, what do we do? The ball's in the post.
Yeah.
Oh, we like our cut, we fill, and you're right into an action that you're familiar with. And it's all designed to allow them to continue to flow from wherever the ball is without setting it up.
That's right. And that's the thing I love about it, where you're not yelling, reset, right? And I always, the language that I picked up from you, which I thought was brilliant, and I didn't say it enough, which was, you can't do anything wrong as long as you're in circle motion and you're moving, right? There's no mistakes, because it goes back to what you said originally on the confidence side. It's like they're afraid of making a mistake. So if you keep on saying there's no mistakes, here are the spots you're supposed to be, which I had down on the court, just get to one. And because what was the first question you think they asked? Well, what happens if 2 of us cut? I'm like, okay, what are you supposed to do after you cut? Bill, right?
Yeah.
No problem. Maybe you'll get open. Just look at the ball, right? But just get out of the way if there's a driver, right? That's right. Right. And so they're like, oh, okay, right? It took that, it just relieved that pressure from them of making a mistake.
Yep. I mean, if that can kind of be your theme, you can get a lot done in an hour. I mean, for you to say to them, look, if you ever get lost, just look for an open spot, go hop on it and catch the next train.
Right. That's right.
Act like you planned it the whole time. Same way with, you say, oh, wait, I just cut and I started to go out this side and there's no empty spots. Replacement screens. What's that, coach? You can replace any teammate you want. Well, how do you do that? Yell their name, yell back screen.
Yep.
And get in the air and land on 2 feet, and that's when they'll go, and then you can take their spot. And invariably, Bill, they'll say, the youth will say, "What's a back screen?" And I say, "I don't worry about it. It's just something." But right now, it's something we say. It's just a way to replace them. We'll cover the back screen thing a whole. I don't really want them thinking about how to set a back screen. I just, if I have to take someone's place, I could. And all I got to do is yell their name, get their attention, get my feet in the air, land on 2 feet. And when we tell that kid, don't cut until you hear their feet hit the ground. And then you've cleaned things up. It's, find your own solution. I love talking to young players about the fact that we're trying to build them into solution finders.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Amen to that. And I was going to say to that point too. So we were running the Read and React over the weekend with the freshmen, and this young lady was cutting through the lane, and she kind of stopped, and I was underneath the basket, and she stopped, and she was cutting really quickly, and then she kind of slowed down. She goes, "Can I set a back screen?" I'm like, "Yes, of course, yeah, absolutely." Let
me think.
Yeah, exactly. She set the back screen. So she set a back screen, got the girl wide open for a layup. And thankfully the wing saw her cut on that back screen wide open for a layup. And I'm like, oh, I love it. I love it.
That's when I go nuts, Yeah. I'm giving the kid who set the back screen an assist. I'm giving the kid who passed it an assist. I'm giving, kudos to the one that took the back screen and made the layup. I mean, even if they didn't make the layup, I'm probably
exactly. I don't.
Yeah,
some
kind of statistical point,
Yeah, that's right.
Because it does take 3 there.
That's Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what is exciting. We always said, just play basketball, right? Just play, right? Just play. It's a game. It's fun, right? Just go out and play basketball. And I think this allowed them. I gave them some basic rules to start, and they did it. And then I didn't tell them anything about the back screen, and she just thought of that on her own, and it was open, and you know what I mean? So they're just like, that's how you play the game, right? Yeah.
Well, and then you're going to get a kid, or tell me if you have, you're going to get someone say, is it okay if I drive? And that's when I like to turn it back to them and say, well, yes, it is. But when would be a much better time to drive? I know you could drive anytime you want to. You just make up your mind and drive. But let's talk about that. Now, that's a much more, organic way of teaching them everything in the reading rack. You wait for it, just like the girl who said, is it okay to back screen? Then it's a chance to say, hey, did y'all hear that? Hey, come in here. I've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
Yes, you can. And here's what we do. And let's go through this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And good grief, you've got someone that scored on it.
Yeah, right.
Hey, we've got to replay this because I want everyone to do this. Dadgum, this is so good. I'm going to make a drill out of it. And what's your name? Jill? Jill, you said about we're going to call this the Jill drill.
That's a good point. That's good.
And they think they've discovered it.
Llévate más de lo que esperas todos los días con el nuevo Mid Value en McDonald's. Ahora puedes comprar uno y sumarle otro por $1. Así que cuando tu equipo favorito enfrenta a sus rivales, enfrenta tus antojos con $5 Meal Deals. Y si estás corriendo para alcanzar el desayuno, corre al app para llevarte ofertas antes del cutoff. Tú decides, y con Mid Value, tu decisión siempre rinde más. Precios y participación pueden variar. BOGO $1 válido para un producto de igual o menor valor. Debe estar registrado en Rewards para ofertas en el app.
Right. Yeah. Make them feel
they
special
remember
about it.
it.
Yeah.
So when they say, well,
Like
when's
that.
a good time to drive? Then I'm going to start talking about real estate,
Mm-hmm.
big wide open areas where there's no, don't drive towards the odd color jerseys. But I don't like saying that, Bill, because as funny as that sounds, the law of last thought
Right.
is working against me.
Yes. Yeah.
Odd color jerseys. That they'll drive.
That's where it's supposed to go. Right.
I want you to drive
Yeah.
open spaces, open space. That's what I want in that last inner thought. Or someone who's running at you. Notice, Bill, I didn't say close out. It's a basketball term. I might teach them that, but initially, first day of practice, that kind of, hey, someone's a defender's running at you. Where's the best time to drive? Now, which side do you think would be best to drive on? Now, that's going to be up to you, but and then you can eventually get to maybe in the second practice or in a game, you see someone accidentally draft drive a cutter.
Yep.
And then again, you can just kind of go nuts over it and say, gosh, that was so good. We got to put this in a drill. I mean, it works. You saw it work. Let's get everybody to doing it,
Well, and the thing that I struggle with a little bit, and which I'm going to use your language here too. There's, you like you said, you can drive anytime, and I really want my team to grab the ball. This is my high school team, though. Grab the ball, rip and go, right? Just because they don't think that naturally. So if I can get them part of the way there, then at least they will do it some of the time, right? But what they were struggling with a little bit is, well, what about that cutter who's cutting through the lane? I'm like, they have to bolt through the lane. They got to get through the lane quickly to see if they get the ball back, so that relieves the pressure. That gives the opportunity for the cutter to cut. But then we went to, they were like, well, they were kind of getting like, do I do it? Do I not? And you never want them to think, right? But what you said is we did talk about this real estate when girl would dribble at someone, they would clear the lane. And I said, pause. We had the whole, left or right wing section open. She had one girl to beat to the basket. That's it.
Right.
And I said, that is the ideal time to drive. You shouldn't even hesitate. You should be gone. Right. Just rip and go. So I'm going to put that together a little bit better.
And that's what doing it that way, leads these young players to start looking ahead.
That's right.
Things. You can't always wait for the ball to be in your hands to make this decision,
Yeah.
You're filling an empty spot, and this is open, and this side's open, and your defender's closing out, and here comes the pass. You know, instead of catch and go, how about go catch?
Yeah. Yeah.
We call it rip and go, but man, you want to speed those times up.
So let's come back to this. So, real quick question for you. We'll do a rapid fire question, and then I want to end with some time saving things you would suggest youth
Excellent.
coaches
Good.
do. So,
I was about to say something about those.
oh, good. So, give me one. What would be one thing you would change about the youth game today, as you know it today? What would you maybe? Well, I'll just say change, add, get rid of, whatever. You take that how you want.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Two things.
Okay.
No zone defense.
Oh, amen. How can we make that happen?
There's no governing body.
I know, right?
That's the problem.
Yeah.
We don't have one governing body that can control. And number two, if you run a set play, it's a technical foul.
Oh, wow. Oh, I never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, I stole both of those from the little country of Belgium.
Oh, they can't run. No.
I was over there running camps. They took me to a youth game.
Yeah.
I'm watching, and of course, no one's playing zone,
Yeah.
And I asked them about it, and they said, "Oh, no. Zones are illegal until age 13 or something like that."
You said that was where?
Belgium.
Yeah, because I had someone. I had a coach too. He, my service basketballpracticeplans.com. He wanted a custom plan, and he said we can't do screens in his league. There's no screening even. So and no zone, right? Couldn't do zone or screens or traps at the youth level, which totally makes it. They can barely get the ball and no full court press, right?
Exactly. Yeah, no full court pressing.
Yeah.
That no trapping. That's
no
the better thing. I mean, because then you got guppy ball. Everybody on both teams chasing the ball, and
that's not basketball.
And their comment to me was, if we run set plays before age 13 or somewhere like that, it will ruin the development of our players. That's what they told me. And there were no ball screens were not taught until age 13.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, amazing. Yeah. Okay, last question here then is time saving. 3 time saving habits that a coach can develop, or things to help them save time with a youth coach, in a limited practice that they have every week.
Right. Okay, 3 of them. Yeah, I got
as many as you. Couple, 1, 2. Give them some tips. What can they walk away with?
Okay. Okay, the first one is my warm-up, my player development, getting shots, passes, one-on-one, whatever you want to do, dribbling, all that, and learning the read and react offense. All 3 of those are done at one time.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my warm-up is. My warm-up is a handful of read and react drills, and good grief, I've got
you got a couple.
I got one package that's got 115 in them,
Yeah.
And that's one of several packages of drills. So that all depends on how many goals you have, how many balls you have, how many players you have. Are you going to be 3 players? Is it going to 3 players, 1 ball? Is it going to be 4 players, 1 ball? Are we going to have to feed it with the line because we only got 1 goal? I don't know, but I want. You cannot do these linearly.
Yes.
Otherwise, you run out of time.
Yeah.
So, example, a simple pass and cut drill, right?
Yeah.
I pass to you. My defender jumps the ball. I cut behind them. I rear cut. They hit me. I shoot a layup, and then we keep this. We rotate among ourselves, and a real simple drill, right? Well, that's a rule. That's a habit, and read and react. So we're learning our offense, how to react without thinking on this. We're getting our passing in. We're getting our catching on the move in. And then every day I can change how I want this player to finish. Today we're going off 2 feet. Tomorrow we're going to stop and give a pump fake and go up. To
progression.
Next day, a 1-leg stretch or something like that. I don't
I
know,
love
but
that. Yeah.
and then I might put the defender on the passer so that they
Mm.
have to fake a pass to me. And then I get to start talking about top shelf, lower shelf. But I do this over the course of the season. I get my player development. I get warmed up. I'm not going to waste time stretching. I mean, they got to do that before
Yeah, before they get there.
practice,
Yeah. Yeah.
And shots, I mean, example, circle movement, right? I
Yep.
drive, you move from here to here, I pitch to you, defender helps on me, right? Well, today's emphasis might be on the help by the defense, their footwork, and then how to close out on and recover to your man. It might be on my one-on-one move, my one dribble, and do I pick it up and push it with one end? Do I throw it two?
Mm.
I don't know what you teach there. But then the next day it may be on shot preparation. It may be on how you finish your shot, that we've got to hold a high 1 second follow through. I mean, I can take that drill and have a different emphasis every day. But they're learning the offense, we're getting warmed up, and we're getting our player development. So you got to collapse time frames like that.
Yeah.
By the way, I've got a course called the KISS course, Keep It Simple, right?
Yep.
I call it Keep It Simple System. Okay. So it's only a 45-minute course, and the tagline is coaching from a note card.
Right. Yeah.
All the rules and everything you do is on a note card. Why? Because you got to keep things simple.
That's right.
Time is precious. I even give on note. I have 3 note cards in the pack that are your practice plans. First 3 practices. So anyway, the next time-saving thing I would do is you've got to teach both offense and defense at the same time. Cannot split those.
Yeah.
So now this is as simple as what you and I were just talking about. So we got 5 players on the floor. They're learning how to pass, cut, fill out, fill up. They're learning how to dribble at and how to feed someone in the post and Laker cut. They're learning how to drive. Okay. Well, I'm going to do a little bit of that 5-on-0, little bit, enough that they know, okay, this is where we go. And then I'm slapping defense out there.
Mm-hmm.
And the Fusion practice project, where that came from was my need to have defense out there and sort of playing live. So to help the offense and to handicap the defense, I made the defense hold a ball with 2 hands. So there's all 5 defenders have a ball with 2 hands.
That's right. That's right. I saw a little bit about that. That's right.
Now that's so that you can play defense live.
Yeah.
You could block a pass with the ball, but now I can start talking about where you are supposed to be position wise on defense. But something, as soon as you start playing a little bit of that, they can make the passes a little more successfully when the defense is holding the ball with. And I explained to the defense, yes, I know this is hard to do, but this is like weightlifting. Football players get in there and lift weights, and tell me, when do they do this on the football field? They don't ever do that on the football field. They're doing this in order to play football. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm trying. This is our weight training.
That's right.
I'm making it difficult on you now, man. When you give up that ball and play defense, and you can use 2 hands, wow. That's how I'm selling it to them. Anyway.
Yeah. I did that last year with my team, and they were like. I totally forgot about them. I'm glad you refreshed my memory on that too. I got to go back to that because I had that, and they're like, defense holding the ball. When are we going to do that in a game? Right? And I'm like, not the point. You're missing the point, right? Use your feet to play defense, right? Use your body, right? Just don't use your hands. Don't get the foul, right? That's how it's
all about position.
It's all about position.
Hey, it's all defense is about position. Having your body there. Now, I love to then graduate to dribbling the ball while you're playing defense, because then I can sell it on, hey, we need more ball handling. We need better ball handling. Everybody needs to get better. Now we can do 2 things at once. We can play defense and we can dribble, but again, it kind of handicaps the defense a little bit and allows our offense to have a little more success than they would have. And I'm just rotating teams. I'm just flipping teams back and forth.
Yeah, makes sense.
Regardless of how you do that, you cannot do those separately. It's not for very long because you're going to run out of time.
Yeah.
The last one is conditioning. I am a huge proponent of giving up the suicide drill.
Me too.
And any other
waste
things
of time.
like that.
Yeah.
And there's two reasons, okay?
Yeah.
One, you're going to run out of time. Number two, I think running should be sold as something very fun and a privilege for you to do. And you get to sprint when there's transition. You get to run. Let's run. I don't want running to be a punishment, okay? And so if you want conditioning, here's my suggestion. Start out 5-on-0 and just tell them that as soon as they score, they're going to take the ball out of bounds and they're going to transition to the other end. And I'm going to talk to them while they're running. I'm going to tell them what I want them to score with. I want you to score with a passing cut. They're running down the floor. I'm going to score with a passing cut. And then they got to get in. They got to learn to shuffle the deck a little. And then as soon as they score, they're out of bounds and they're running down to the other end. I want you to score with a dribble at. They got to shuffle the deck. Score with the. I want you to get somebody in the post and score with a Laker cut. Now there's 3 trips. I'm telling you, even with high schoolers, 7 trips.
Oh yeah,
gets to be tough if you're going as hard as you
right as you should be, right? Yeah.
And I've asked players, look, what would you rather do? Would you rather do this, or do you want to line up and us do some baloney sprint thing, and me yell at you? And no, they would rather chase a ball.
That's right. Put a ball on the court. Yeah, they'd rather play.
For me, I'm collapsing. I'm getting transition, I'm getting the offense, and I'm getting conditioning in. And by the way, if you have something like 15 kids, put 5 on one end on defense, 5 on the other on defense, and let this offense transition back and forth for their 4, 5, 7 trips, and then you switch. And that way the teams aren't just standing and watching, right. They're actually playing defense. You can talk to your defense while the ball's on the other end. You can go in there and make a few corrections. How you need to be between the gap of the ball, blah blah blah, whatever, and coach both. Get 3 things at once.
That. Yeah, no, no, that's amen. And we'll end on that note because I think that's so important. What are small-sided games, right? Whatever you call those things, right? I think that's so important to get both 2 things done at one time, 3 things, 4 things, 5 things, right? You got to condense that time. So, Rick, this has been amazing. I know we could probably we could go another 3 hours just chatting basketball. I mean, easy. But I really appreciate you taking the time. And coaches, look at the Read and React offense. You just have to Google it. It'll turn up. Go to Better Basketball. Rick has been, at this for a little bit. He knows what he's talking about. All right, till next time, coaches. Rick, take care, bud.
Hey, Bill. Thank you. It was a real honor to be asked to be on your podcast. And I really appreciate it. Thanks for what you're doing.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, man.
All right. Let's, oops. I don't want to do that. Oh.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.